Representative Tobash.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner, Director, for your testimony here today and the good work you do for our citizens in the Commonwealth. I just want to talk about September of 2011, Hurricane Lee, and I know these events have an awful long tail on them, and we're still dealing with that. In Schuylkill County in the Upper Swatara watershed, they just had hired a position of a flood recovery manager, and I was gratified to see the communities in the county and some economic development companies come together to fund the position, and it was through the work of PEMA and FEMA that got the ball rolling on that. But you mentioned that there's $65 million in federal money from FEMA that's out there for flood mitigation, and obviously money for direct losses to those communities. How far along the process are we right now with making sure that that money is dispersed, and how long is this tail?
That whole amount of money has been committed to home buyouts. And if you've probably seen the news releases and the stories, we are starting to do those buyouts now. It is accelerating in terms of how long it takes to do them. Now, when you do a home buyout, the application for that has to come from the local municipal government. The individual families don't have the final say on if their borough or township is going to be in the program or not. So once we get the applications from the local government on behalf of its residents, then we can begin to process those. And there's a series of events. In your area, one of the things we've run into is you have to have a clear title to the land, or the federal government won't let you do the buyout. Some people have owned their property for 50 years in the family, longer, 60 years in the family, but somebody along the way sold the mineral rights underneath the property and to someone else. And so the difficult time is to go back, do the title searches, and clear those mineral rights. That's slowed the process down, but we have now cleared the majority of those. And so it's not so much the gas, but it's coal as well as the problem, because what the federal government says is when you buy out a property, nothing can ever be on that land space again. And so if a person then said, well, wait a minute, I own the mineral rights under there, I'm going to come in and put something on that land to get my coal out of there, federal government said, no, you can't, so that's a cloud on the title. The good news, as I said, was that we have taken 18 months off that timeline process. In fact, I would tell you this, that we ran into a budget issue because we did so many of them that there hadn't been enough money in the 12-13 budget to do the state share. And as a result of that, we've had to do some moving of money around to be able to fit that. So I would think that the tail is probably at the outside, it's probably 18 to 24 more months till they're completely done from the 2011 storms. And there was a general feeling, and I know you run into this, is we've always done it this way, we can't change it. Well, our position is that these are real folks and their families and their homes, and we're going to change it. You know, we're going to make it, I don't care if it's uncomfortable for a lawyer that has to draft 2 contracts instead of 1 contract, we're going to get it done. And so it's probably about 50% completed right now of those 560 homes that we started. And I think within 18 to 24 months, it will be completed all the way.
Okay, I appreciate your efforts in trying to expedite the process. The other part of that is we've got the mitigation money, right, and the buyout money, but there's also money out there for direct damage, and that municipalities haven't all received. How far along that process are we?
That process has gone extremely well. With that process, you have to write a project for each one of those things, like a bridge or a road or a sewage treatment plant, and that then has to go to FEMA in Washington for approval. And so we write them, we do them jointly at a place we call the Joint Field Office, which is over near the FEMA headquarters along 81. And then we move those forward. Those are, they have been going on since shortly after, since the beginning of 2012, they've been going on. And I would say that we are also probably 60% completed on those right now.
So we still have a lot of work to do.
A A lot of work to do, but we can't react to a project until the local people come in and tell us what the cost of that project's going to be. And so we actually send people out locally in teams. If you saw the one where the flood manager was hired and the factory where they make the floor mats and so forth up there in Bloomsburg, that was a lot of combined effort by lots of agencies to save those 800 and some jobs up there. So we're real excited about that, and we think that that was money from a number of sources put together to make that project work.
Well, thank you for your work, and I'll continue to encourage our local communities to make sure they do their end of the deal so we can get these things wrapped up.
That's an important part, and you really do. You can't help us. Sometimes we get 4 or 5 families that want bought out, but the municipal government doesn't want to be in the program because they're afraid when they buy out those properties, they lose local tax base. So many of you have been extremely helpful with that problem. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.